James Bond, Austin Powers, and Kingsman. Three different types of spy movies consisting of three different types of spies, all with their own unique differences. Bond, the classic suave savior, protecting the world with his femme fatale by his side. EGGSY, the young man able to stop world-ending threats with his mentor and gratuitous violence. And Austin Powers, the celebrity who managed to attract women and save the world at the same time. But why are these heroes so different? What makes a spy, and why has the media grown to love this type of portrayal? Let's start with Bond. He's gone through a lot of faces, from Nelson to Dalton and more to Connery, but let's stick with the modern Bond. Daniel Craig, more specifically Daniel Craig in the 2008 film Quantum of Solace. Unlike Bond's previous outings, this one takes on a more serious tone. It gets rid of much of the lightheartedness of the older films to create a grittier reality. Of course, some things remain, like the iconic barrel shot in the opening sequence that has become synonymous with the Bond films across their long timeline. The plotline follows Bond taking revenge on a businessman after he learns he was involved with the murder of Vespa Lynn, his previous lover, and stopping an evil plan to take control of a vital natural resource. The plot itself is classic Bond, the Bond that everyone grew up with, and in Daniel Craig's second outing, he manages to pull it off well. The narrative itself has no real deeper meanings, and using Blumler and Cass's uses and gratifications theory, it's safe to say that this Bond film acts as a diversion more than anything else, just something audiences can watch to waste time. Kingsman: The Golden Circle is the second film in the so far successful franchise. With both Taron Egerton as EGGSY and Colin Firth as Harry Hart returning, the film was destined to be just as good as its predecessor. The first film prided itself on not being like a Bond film.
You like spy movies, Mr. DeVere?
Nowadays, they're all a little serious for my taste.
That is still evident in the second outing. The story follows EGGSY and the Kingsman team stopping a drug that is causing the death of millions by taking down the main exporter, Poppy. They have to unite with the American Kingsman alternative, Statesman, more specifically with Agent Whiskey, who later turns out to be a double agent working with Poppy. They take everyone down with a little help from Elton John, and everything returns to normal. The film continues its love for gratuitous violence and shock, with a human meat grinder and cannibalism present. They also provide a powerful message regarding the world of drugs that audiences will decode in a multitude of ways. The encoded messages are a staple of the franchise, and were even evident in the first film. They provide deeper meaning for the film and give it that edge against a Bond and a Powers film, which are solely there for diversion. Austin Powers is something else, a complete parody of early Bond films with his own little twist. The story follows 1960s spy Austin Powers, who is cryogenically frozen and only supposed to be thawed out when his enemy Dr. Evil returned. He does, and so Powers is brought back. Thankfully, he puts together that his mentality isn't truly aligned with 1990s views and learns to deal with it with help from assistant Vanessa Kingston and Basil Exposition. Austin Powers is an amazingly made parody of James Bond, dissecting the films down to its core ideals and utilizing them. It's evident with Basil Exposition, who tells Powers what he needs, and his female sidekick, who he eventually seduces, much like Bond. The film is without a doubt a form of diversion, acting as mindless comedy for an hour or so. However, it could be interpreted as the negative aspects of Bond films that nobody mentions, like Bond's inability to keep his hands to himself. In that respect, Austin Powers acts as a social commentary, questioning the audience's views on why we allow Bond to act the way he does with no repercussions.
Oh, behave!
These three films have three very different stories. Bond is more serious, rarely stopping for anything and having no distractions, just getting the girl and getting the job done. A modern, welcome depart from his more distracted predecessors.
This never happened to the other fella.
The film gives audiences a chance to watch an action movie and not have to think of much, which many audiences nowadays seem to enjoy. However, it pales when compared to Kingsman 2. The story is filled with small nuances balanced with an interesting social commentary that is definitely a debate starter. It manages to juggle this while also adding comedy and fun, amazing gratuitous violence on top of it. Kingsman 2 started out as a Bond-inspired film, but has since become what Bond should aspire to be.
Country road, take me home to the place I belong.
Bring him to me.
West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country road.
Austin Powers is in its own league entirely. A commentary on Bond films may be what it can be seen as by some, but most will see it as a childish movie trying its best to imitate Bond and failing, an arguably more sexist rendition of Bond, with less of a story. The story here, thankfully, is much tamer than future installments in the series, but the point still stands.
Allow myself to introduce myself. My name is Richie Cunningham, and this is my wife, Oprah.
Let's take a deeper look at the characters. James Bond is the suave spy, able to seduce multiple women with a smoldering scare and move on quickly. He barely jokes and tries his best to remain serious for his whole mission, getting the job done in any way he can and gaining no real emotional connection with anyone else. Powers is the same, except he is not serious. He's a womanizer and a beloved celebrity, able to get whole crowds to imitate his dance with no real effort, and somehow manages to stop his nemesis and look stylish the whole time. His 60s attitude towards the world is evident, and it adds another layer to his character. He has to grow and learn to change and adapt to this new time. EGGSY is something different from the two. He's a kid. He is so young and so skilled, and that's evident in the way he acts. Unlike Bond and Powers, EGGSY is a girlfriend. She was introduced to the end of Kingsman 1 and remains to the end of Kingsman 2. He even asked for her permission to sleep with the target for a mission.
Hey babe, bit of a nightmare. I've got to sleep with the target, but I won't do it unless you agree that it's alright.
He respects women, which is something the other two don't seem to share. He stays with one. Aside from that, he's just as skilled as Bond and Powers and uses gadgets that seriously aid him, but it's also evident that he's very much capable without them. While characters like Bond rely on guns to solve problems most of the time, EGGSY has been shown to be much more capable in hand-to-hand combat than Bond or Powers could ever be. Bond and Powers are the way they are because that's how spies have always been portrayed. Womanizers who still get the job done, by whatever means necessary. But when the first Kingsman came out in 2014, director Matthew Vaughn made it a point that this wasn't a Bond movie, and made some major differences to the character of a spy. The change is a welcome one, and it's something we can only hope more spy films start to incorporate.
Please, believe me, I love you. You are the person that I want to spend the rest of my life with.
Is that a proposal?
Women are a big part of any spy movie, most notably in Bond, where each film introduces some new Bond girls. Most of the time, these women are just there to fall in love with the dashing hero, but more modern films utilize them as plot elements, women who mean something more than just love. It is a welcome change. Having capable women appear in films like these sets a good example for younger girls, who can grow up to aspire to be more than just eye candy. Austin Powers surprisingly handles this representation quite well. Vanessa Kingston is very adamantly against Powers' advances on her, and it takes him a while, but Austin puts it together.
I will never have sex with you, ever. If you were the last man on Earth and I was the last woman on Earth, and the future of the human race depends on our having sex simply for procreation, I still would not have sex with you.
What I'm trying to say is that if you want me to be a one-woman man, well, that's just groovy, baby.
Even when Kingston is intoxicated and she becomes the one giving advances, Powers declines. He knows that what is happening now isn't right, which is surprisingly modern for a 60s spy in a 90s world.
Kiss me.
I can't, darling.
Why not?
Because you're drunk. It's not right.
No, I'm not drunk. I'm just beginning to see what my mummy was talking about all those years ago.
The implementation of consent is an extremely powerful message as well. It lets young women know that they can say no, that just because they're a celebrity does not mean you have to fall for them. Of course, Kingsman does it the best, having EGGSY hold a long-term girlfriend who he marries in the end. It's good that young girls grow up watching these movies that portray them in a powerful light, strong and able to hold their own. All of these films are good in their own right. They each provide something that the other does not. It's just interesting to see how a character of a spy has evolved. From the inarguably sexist early Bonds to the now calmer, more respectful EGGSY, it's very clear that the idea of what a spy should be has changed drastically. Altogether, regardless of any deeper meanings, these movies were made for fun. It's fun to see EGGSY perform unneeded violence in these big one-take shots. It's fun to watch Bond try and drive away down a busy highway in his signature car. It's fun to watch Austin Powers interact with the people around him. These audience pleasures are what the films are made on. They're here to entertain us, and if they provide a subtler, deeper meaning, that's good, that's great. As audiences, we love to be challenged, but first and foremost, we're watching an action spy movie. We want to have fun.